Are live. Welcome back, everybody. We have a very special guest. He is one of the inventors of the VOIP Voice over Internet Protocol with a foundational patent dating back to 1994 and is now working on MOIP, Money over the Internet Protocol technology. Over 35 patents have been issued to our next speaker relating to exchanges, VOIP protocols, messaging, and communication. He is a serial entrepreneur and founder of 7 New York-based startups, raising more than $1 billion and exiting over $3 billion. He's founded 2 of New York City's top 10 venture-backed exits since 2000. Arbanet with a 2004 IPO that had a market capitalization of over $750 million, and Transit Wireless valued at $1.2 billion. He has received numerous awards for innovation, including being nominated twice for the Instant Young Entrepreneur of the Year 2002 and 2011, Cannes 2010 Top Entrepreneur, the prestigious 2000 Albert Einstein Technology Medal, and the Technology Foresight Award for Innovation presented in Geneva at Telecom 99. He is founder and CEO of the Celsius Network, which is just smashing the cryptocurrency markets recently. I'm very, very excited to welcome our next guest. Please put your virtual hands together for none other than Alex Mashinsky. Welcome, my friend.
Thanks, Chris. And like you said, this is not our first gig, so good to see you again. And yeah, so I have a lot of slides. I'm going to go through them real quick, try to get everybody kind of up-to-date information about the crypto community, what's happening, and try to mix it up both for newbies and for the pros. So in my view, all roads lead to decentralization. So what does that mean? It means that we live in a centralized world, and we are going towards a decentralized world, right? Going from voice over IP, which is one of the most decentralized remaining application on the internet, to money over IP, which is a version of basically taking your money away from the banks and putting it in someone who's acting in your best interest, and that someone is the blockchain. So again, today, almost every business, every institution that you transact with is a pyramid. Where most of us are stuck at the bottom of the pyramids. We try to make it to the 1%, and basically the 1% extracts all the value out of the 99% of society. And that structure is something that we can't really fix. We can't really change unless we create a new system. And the whole point is to create a new world, right, on the blockchain, where we can create a system that acts in all of our best interest. It's circle versus triangle, where we can transact in a way that is beneficial to us. So this is a slide I took out before the coronavirus pandemic that shows you that the Federal Reserve of the United States, which is neither federal nor a reserve system, it's not owned by the government, right? It's a system that prints all the money with the reserve currency called the US dollar. It printed more money since 2008 than basically in the history of the United States of America. And more recently, now we're closer to like $10 trillion worth of money printed. So the Fed printed more money in the last 3 months than it did in the previous 100 years, right? And what that means to you is that your dollars, you think your dollars are worth the same as they were before, but really they're not. And what's happening is if you look back 2,000 years or 3,000 years, you'll see that every 100 years or so we had a different reserve currency for the world. It wasn't the dollars. The dollar is only about 104 years old. And if you go back, you'll see many, many other countries that dominated. Chris actually is hosting this from the Netherlands, where the Dutch used to be one of the reserve currency of the world. So we think the dollar is basically towards the end of its dominance, and it's going to be replaced either by something decentralized like the Bitcoin, or by, for example, the Chinese yuan. So there's a big fight going on. And today, all of the fiat, all of the money that you know is using a system called fractional reserves. What does it mean? It means that the banks get to create money from thin air, and that's how they make all their money. You work really hard for your money, you earn it, you replace your time, you swap your time for effort, and you create money. But the banks actually make money on your money, which is really a much easier way to kind of create value. So today, if you look at the world's total assets, about 255 trillion, everybody feels that they're super rich. But behind this 255 trillion is 247 trillion worth of debt, meaning that we owe just as much as we own. And what happened with the coronavirus, that everything has slowed down. The value of the assets decreased dramatically, but the value of the debt remained the same. And what that means is that we will not be able to repay our debts. And if you cannot repay your debts, that means you're going to go into a spiral, a recession. You need to deflate the debt bubble. And the only way to do that is to inflate the monetary system. And that's why the Fed and other people are printing tens of trillions of dollars. And as basically this slide shows you the consolidation of the banks. This is in the United States. All the banks, we used to have thousands of banks. Now we have 4 large banks that control our destiny. And in the background, you see the gray area is the decrease in interest that they're paying us out. So as they consolidated over the years, the interest they paid us has dropped by 90-something%, right? And what we've basically decided at Celsius is that there's no going to be a way for any of us to earn real interest unless we take the power back in our hands. We decentralize the power that we've given to the bank and replace the banking system with the platform that acts in our best interest. So basically, since 1972, right, since World War II and up to 1972, when we went off the gold standard, both the productivity and the income have been going side by side. You can see it's the same line. But since 1972, when we went off the gold standard, you can see the compensation completely decoupled from productivity. So if you were in a computing business or if you were on Wall Street, you still made a lot of money, but everywhere else you were flat. Your income has been flat and basically the same as your parents. And that is a very, very bad scenario, right? Basically, we're not earning more, and only all the gains are going to the 1%. So how do we fix that? How do we shake up the pyramid and transform it into a circle? We need to transfer all of the assets into digital assets. If we can basically transfer the value from the fiat system, from the dollar system into something where we can set new rules, new systems, then we have a much better chance of success. And that's what Celsius focused on, right? We focused on basically cryptocurrencies, utility tokens, and dApps. And the idea is to basically allow you to earn anywhere between 5 and 10% of your money outside of the banking system, outside of the fiat system. So it's non-correlated, not linked to the existing stuff that all of you use every day. And what that does, it allows you to basically earn money on your money, just like the banks do, right? So you want your capital and your savings to earn as much as possible. So in crypto, we had 3 waves of innovation. We had the infrastructure, these are all the blockchains themselves, then we had middleware, and now we have all these dApps, or distributed applications, which really provide the services that I'm talking about, right? So we finally got to this 3rd wave of adoption, and basically you can see how we're going from just having the anarchists or the retail guys, the speculators. Slowly we're getting the crypto funds, the hedge funds, institutional guys coming in, and that is all good. That means more and more capital, more and more value is going to go from the fiat community to the crypto community. So, but to get there, again, we need to take people from the comfort zone using dollars and move them all the way to Bitcoin. You can't jump there in one swoop, right? So what do we need to do? We need to make people comfortable, for example, to buy more gold, to buy more stable coins like Tether. And only then, after they've transacted in those 2 spheres, they can basically feel more comfortable that, yes, I can hold these other assets. These are non-correlated assets, and I can earn high yield on them and not be tied to the dollar, which is being basically deflated. So in the last 11 years, we had 4 waves of innovation, right? First, Satoshi invents the Bitcoin. He passes the baton to the anarchists, right? The anarchists try to build something out of crypto or the blockchain, and they're not really successful. There isn't enough anarchists in the world to make a revolution. So they had to pass the baton, and they passed the baton to the libertarians, right? Libertarians try to fix the world using the blockchain. Again, there's not enough libertarians. So we had another wave of adoption, which was basically libertarians passing the baton to the retail guy, right, to the speculators. And the problem is that the speculators were hoping to get to Bitcoin to $20,000, hand it off to the institutions. That didn't happen, right? That's why Bitcoin dropped. And now we're trying to break through and get new highs, right? Try to get new highs on Bitcoin, and most of it is coming again from demand, either from retail or from new institutions that are coming in. And yeah, so this wave of adoption, the decentralized wave, is even bigger than open source and bigger than centralized software. So it's really a big thing that's happening that we're all going through, and it's very similar to what happened in the phone network, where again, TCP/IP overtook some of the older protocols like frame relay and ATM, and now we have this new protocol called the blockchain that's threatening to eat up the rest of the world, right? So to create or to have a successful blockchain, you need several components. You need a decentralized app or DApp. You need to have really strong token economics, and you need to have a secure and immutable blockchain. In the Celsius case, again, we support 14 different blockchains, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. We don't pick winners and losers. We allow you basically to choose the companies that you are betting on, and then place your assets on those blockchains. But the success of this community, if you look at Ethereum, really has to do with, can you bring enough membership, right? Just like the Einstein famous formula, E equals MC square. I just formulated it for crypto. So if you want Ethereum to have new highs, you need a lot more members transacting much more on the blockchain. And now you're starting to see that. I had this E equals MC square running since 2017, and people looked at me and said, what are you talking about? What credit are you talking about? Well, DeFi and CeFi is exactly what we were talking about, right? And Celsius really invented this interest income category. Now there's plenty of other people trying to do the same, but Celsius still pays the highest interest out of anybody on 30 different assets. And the beauty of it is, if you pay that high interest, then crypto as a Pac-Man is just going to eat all the other asset classes. Because if you cannot earn dollars and earn interest on dollars, you cannot earn interest on gold, on physical money, or in the stock market, you're going to move those assets to crypto. And that's really what crypto is, really the big opportunity here. So you can see Bitcoin here descending on the hype curve, meaning we kind of crossed the hype. We're really kind of about to come out and go to the mass adoption wave. And that's very good news, because to get to mass adoption, right, we need to bring the next 100 million people into crypto. How do you bring so many people in? You have to give them a utility that they're looking for. So what is that utility, right? Is that a security token? Probably not. It's too early for securities to run on the blockchain. Still too many problems to solve. Is it Libra? Definitely not. We don't need to replace a monopoly with the US dollar or with a monopoly with a company called Facebook. So I'm a big believer in stable coins. I think stable coins are a beautiful way to allow people who may not be that comfortable with exotic crypto to actually earn interest, earn income on their coins, right? So you take your dollars, you convert them into a stable coin like USDC or USDT. You deposit with somebody like Celsius, you earn 8 or 9% per year. That's 100 times more than your bank pays you, and that's how you bring the next 100 million people into crypto. So look, the deal with the banks is very simple, right? The banks have do an excellent job of keeping all the money. When you deposit money with them, you get 1%, and they take your money and lend it to other people on their credit card at 25%. So they get to keep 24%. You get to earn 1% if you're really good. Most people don't even earn 1%. And all Celsius has done is basically say, look, we're going to take the banking model and put it on its head. We're going to charge borrowers 9% instead of 24%. And we're going to give 80% of that back to the depositor. So the depositor gets 7%, while the borrower only pays 9%. Much better model than the banking model, where 95% of the value is going to the bank shareholders. And with Celsius, 80% of the value goes to the depositor. It goes to the person who actually provided the capital in the first place. Right? So again, you can take loans on Celsius, or you can just earn interest. You don't have to be on both sides. You can decide what you need. 1 month you could be a depositor, the next month you could be a borrower. And we have, again, 30 different coins to choose from. All you have to do is download the app. We already have over 145,000 members, over $1 billion in assets and in deposit. And obviously the company has been doing extremely well. And really, it comes down to the flywheel that we have, right? More depositors or more users means more assets. More assets means more loans. More loans means we're charging institutions more interest. We mostly loan the coins to institutions, and then we take more interest and distribute it out. And about half of our users have chosen to earn interest in Cell Token, which is really has been one of the drivers of our community. So again, if you do a quick search, you can find a lot of content about Celsius, both videos on YouTube as well as hundreds of articles that have been written about how we're always acting in the best interest of the community. Again, we set the bar very, very high, returning 80% of our revenues to the community. If you compare that to Binance, they return about 20%. And everybody else you can think of is doing even less than that. So Celsius is really part of our success is because we've really given so much back to the community in terms of rewards, and that's why our customers love us, and our customers just go ahead and bring us many other customers. So if you're familiar with Satoshi's white paper, if you go to page number 9, actually, Satoshi refers 4 times to this magical guy called Scott Sonetto. Actually invented the blockchain. He created the blockchain Belco back in 1991. Around the same time I was working on Voice over IP, just a few miles away. So Scott is one of our advisors, great guy. So just wanted to give him a shout out because obviously he's one of the top guys in crypto. So just wanted to talk to you about some points to remember. Again, VOIP to MOIP. And, Celsius really, exchanges have been socializing losses through hacks and through fees, while Celsius has been socializing profits, right? None of our customers lost money depositing with Celsius, and they get paid interest every week. We've paid interest over 120 weeks in a row, and more than anybody else. And so decentralization is a war between toll collectors and users, right? Because toll collectors hate what Celsius is doing. They hate moving from a pyramid into a circle, right? They hate giving stuff back to the community. They love charging fees, right? And like I said, the next 100 million people are going to come if we create less volatility and more utility. And Celsius is definitely the leader in the utility space. We are the leader in interest income and in loans. And if you think over those 2 areas, if you need that, that's what you need to focus on. You got to come and try our service. Bitcoin is really doomsday insurance. We're definitely going to doomsday right now. And you better have enough insurance, meaning you better have at least 10, maybe even 20% of your assets in Bitcoin in case things get much worse, right? So stable coins are everyday interest. We talked about that. And crypto is here to replace the middleman, again, exchanges, Wall Street, with middleware. Why? Because it's all software, right? DeFi, CeFi is all software acting in your best interest. So my prediction is that Bitcoin will replace gold while Ethereum will replace the banks. And it's already happening, right? Look at what's happening out there. You will see that we are really leaning on those banks and stealing customers from them every day. Living with the banks is like living in a bad marriage, right? This is somebody that constantly charges you. They charge you to deposit your fund in account fees. They charge you to withdraw your fund with ATM fees. They charge you late fees. They charge you penalties. It's just a really bad marriage, right? Now, BTC is a deflationary coin. What does it mean? Every day, there is less and less Bitcoin being created, right? And more people lose their keys, so it's actually good for you. Deflation is good for you. Don't listen to what people tell you, the people that want you to have inflation, right? And deflationary currency that basically have 4 million people lost their coins already, and the Fed is not your friend. Low inflation, good for the rich, but low unemployment basically guarantees that there's no revolution. And that's what the Fed is trying to do. These are the two things that they are tasked to do. And the Fed is owned by the banks. You didn't know that, but the Fed is owned by the largest banks in the United States, which are really getting dividends from the Fed every year. The US dollar is not your friend. The dollar is a bad store of value. It's lost 97% of its value since 1970, since we went off the gold standard. And Bitcoin is a bad form of payment, but it's a great store of value. So don't ask what the banks or government can do for you. Ask what you can do for yourself. That's really the only mantra we have. And to do that, you got to invest in non-correlated asset. So how people ask me every day, like, how can you bring the big banks, bring them down? They're so strong. Well, you have to remember that through the same fractional reserve that banks use to get leverage and make a lot of money, when you withdraw $1 from a bank, they have to cancel $10 worth of loans. So you have 10 times the leverage that you think you have against the banks, right? And the only way we win is if we bring all of our friends into crypto. So stop asking what Satoshi can do for you and start asking what you can do for Satoshi. All right, so thank you very much. We're running out of time. And just the secret to our success, everybody says, Alex, how come Celsius is doing so well? Well, we probably have, as a percentage of Celsius, we have more women in our company than any other company in crypto, right? And you want to have a revolution, you cannot have a revolution without including the half of the population. So thank you, everybody, for participating. And Grace, you can take it back from